In this video we will talk about the making of Deadpool and how we came along to form the Tegmon team.
Hi, I'm Neo, the very first developer of this game, and I will tell you a few things about this game's story. First, I have been always leaned toward the art direction. I think my first computer had Windows 3.86 or something like that. Back then I used to do some pixel art, mostly inspired by the games The King of Fighters, really popular here in Mexico. Some years before I did some sprite work for Mugen, a fighting game engine to create your own fighters. So you get the idea, pixels and draws are my thing. Anyway, it all started when I discovered people were hacking and giving new life to some old NES games. That really got my attention. I guess that like most 90s kid, one of my dreams was to make a video game. One night I decided to try that myself, but keep in mind I had zero knowledge of ROM hacking at all. I was thinking it would be easy, just pixel art edition and that's all. But it wasn't true at all. My first attempt was Contra, one of my favorite video games. I believe it's underrated and deserves more love and recognition. And yes, my first idea was to put Deadpool there, and I did, but mostly only that. After a few talks, I didn't feel Deadpool fits quite well there, so I started to do some memory research to see which other game would be better for Deadpool, and I remembered Ninja Gaiden. To me it was the perfect game. It had swords and a ninja feel on it, so I started working on it, changing sprites. Sadly, my zero knowledge put a barrier to me, because I wasn't able to modify the cutscenes and also had a hard drive crash and lost a lot of my files, so I lost interest on it and leave it only as a patch release on romhacking.net. I just continued with a normal life. But after a few years, I received a YouTube comment by a guy called DangerX from the other side of the world, who told me he has made some hacks. He likes NES a lot and asked me what happened with Deadpool game. After a quick chat, he told me he would like to help me to finish the game, so we decided to take up the project again.
I'm DangerX, one of Deadpool NES co-founders and part of Tegmon team. My specialty is building levels. We started a decade ago when I found a site named from hacking.net. At first I learned to change text, colors and edit some game genie code. As time passed, I started to like the process and wanted to repay back the console that made my childhood. So I started changing the levels of many NES titles. It wasn't too much for the public, but it meant a lot to me. I made hacks after hacks, but after a while I decided to retire. The problem was there weren't too many tools for this kind of hacking and my knowledge was pretty limited. But just when I decided to retreat from the community, I found a video on YouTube, Deadpool hack for Ninja Gaiden. I thought it was interesting, so I decided to contact the guy that made the hack. Who knew it would turn out into such a big project?
What did I contribute to the game? Well, as I have already stated, I'm not a computer savvy guy. I'm more likely an artist in some way, so it was a perfect duo. Me on the sprite and stage design, and Danger on all the codes and related stuff. So we started, and it was a pain for me to edit sprites, because probably a few of you know, when you do ROM hacking, all the graphics are scrambled as a puzzle, and I did all by eye. No hex code, no pointers, nothing. Just me, my laptop and my eyes, searching to recognize every sprite I could do to be changed. At that time we were using a tool called Ninjax. That tool helped us a lot to get an idea of what we will be able to do with this game. Still, we were just beginning, and people were already giving us ideas, thinking we were already good at hacking games, but we were really noob. I still think I am noob.
Hey you guys, this is RetroSlam. I'm one of the developers for TechMoon's Deadpool, and today I'm going to be talking about my involvement with the project. I'll take you guys behind the scenes and show you some concept artwork and what it took to create this title. So stay tuned. Right off the bat, I just want to say that as much as I enjoyed the first two Deadpool films, I really didn't think that it would fit the game's narrative. I wanted to do my own retelling of Deadpool's origin story, but I also wanted to add elements that were akin and true to the comic books. My inspirations were The Death of Deadpool, Funeral for a Freak, the Thanos vs. Deadpool comic books, and I just really wanted to focus on that Thanos, Lady Death, Deadpool love triangle story. I think it was just perfect for the video game. There was a lot of influences to make the storyline and the plot to this game. It just wasn't the Deadpool comics or the Deadpool movies or other Marvel comics. Even DC Comics inspired me. In particular, the Watchmen motion comic series. I pretty much wanted to take that format and mesh it with Ninja Gaiden's interactive storytelling to bring the comic book to life, pretty much. In the end, I just wanted to capture the spirit and the essence of Deadpool. Just one big fan service. There's a lot of Easter eggs, a lot of references here and there. Hopefully it'll please hardcore Deadpool fans, and it'll also entice the casual Deadpool fan who saw the first two movies.
Hello, my name is Pablo. I'm from Mexico, and I'm going to tell you about my experience when working with TechMoon. I say working with TechMoon because it was not a job for me. I have the most fun part of the job was testing the game. Basically, my function were to test every single level to comment on the game. It was fun or not, and opinions about it, to try to make it more fun or challenging. Obviously, I'm a bummer. I was lucky. I lived the experience of the 80s era for myself. Therefore, I have the opportunity to compare the standard difficulty at that time and try to adapt to the modern times. I particularly consider that the game has a challenging difficulty without beginning to be exaggerated. That's forced to the player not only to go and attack everything what moves. The game forced to the player to think of more elaborate ways to get ahead in the game. I'm very happy to work with TechMoon. Thank you to all.
I wanted to add something different to the game, so I contacted one of my hacking buddies, a Chinese guy named FlameCyclone. He was an expert at making hacks that changed the gameplay with a combination of different buttons. By example, in Adventure Island, you can switch your animal if you press select or add unlimited jumps with select and up button. So I asked him if he could make Deadpool switch weapons at the press of the select button, and he agreed. Soon our hack started to draw attention. That's when RetroSlam joined us. He didn't have more knowledge than us at NES hacking, but he was a pretty good artist and musician. We soon found ourselves improving the game more and more, changing bosses, enemies, items, game text, levels, and cutscene graphics. I used a program named Tyler Pro. It was a lot of work to find the correct graphics. How should I describe this? It's like solving a puzzle, but fortunately for me, there was a logic beside the tile placement. Once I figured that out, it became easier to import and export images for the others to modify. In the meanwhile, I was working on the levels using a program named Ninjas. This program let me move around any block of the level, enemies, and items. You can even resize the number of enemies and items. But if you make the number too big, you get a problem with their pointers. So even if I changed most of the levels, the hack was still not good enough. Meanwhile, we decided to make a group chat because it was more comfortable for us to speak with each other. At that time, some guys from Facebook joined us and helped us as beta testers. So when I changed the level or when Neo or RetroSlam drowned a new enemy or level pack, we uploaded the new room version on the group chat and they had to test it and tell us if it was good or it was wrong.
And yes, that was the part when we used social media to our advantage. We created a group chat and we kept talking about the updates of the game and ideas we had and hope we could implement. There was a time when I wasn't contributing much. I had some real life issues and wasn't inspired to work on Sprite or keep beta testing stuff. I felt bad because Danger and RetroSlam were really working hard on the game and I wasn't really helping. The good news is, as everything should be, I overcome my problems and started working again. As Danger was helping with codes, RetroSlam learning music, I started to edit the stage and do artwork for the game. After that we had a bigger team. That was indeed an awesome thing and at the same time something not cool, that we will talk later. But we found more people interested in the project. So for now, I will introduce you to Sorin, one of the newer members that started learning with us and had improved his skills a lot.
Hello, my name is Sorin. I'm a 21 freelance artist and I'm currently majoring in economic studies. I joined the team back in 2016 along with Dan, back when the team was still forming. We didn't have the name TechMoon back then. I drew quite a handful of enemy characters, a few background elements here and there, two of Deadpool's costumes, and I also helped Dan translate all the text into Romanian. My contribution wasn't as substantial as other artists, but I'm sure it shaped the game become what it is today. This was my very first game project that I took part in that also succeeded, and I'm very happy to see it turn out this well. What could I say more? I hope we'll still be working together as a team and still be making games. And if you want to see more of my stuff, you can follow the Twitter in the video description. This was me, Sorin, signing out.
Next I started looking for help on different sites. That's when we found Darkmoon. Our game is a hack of Ninja Gaiden 1. In that game you can climb walls, only ladders, but he took those values from the ladders and added them to the walls. Then he helped us nerf the spin slash and added that full regeneration ability into the game. Here I decided we need him on our team. The guy was skilled at ASM 6502, unlike me. He decided to tag along for a while, and as time passed, we added new enemies, new weapons, new levels. It was awesome. Darkmoon opened a lot of new possibilities for us, and we were lucky to have him. After a while, more guys were interested in giving us a hand. That's when a guy named Woodman, well, not actually his real name, but as I said, we are using nicknames in this video. Now getting back. He was the first one that worked on the music for our game. I still remember how many times we listened to the first track. Each time he made an improvement. Because this is what making games is all about. Coming up with an idea, talk with the team, get the change in the game, test the change again and again, talk with the team some more, improve that thing over and over until you get the desired result. As time passed, we got better. I started to find music track values in the game as RetroSlam modified those values to make new tracks. Then I found a nasty music room hacker on a site I better don't say. His nickname was Dr. Floppy. He made just a few tracks, but man, they were so crazy. He's gonna give it to you and Careless Whisper was straight from the movie, and they sounded so well on the NES. We couldn't believe our ears.
Hey guys, I'm Woodman, and I worked on some of the music for this hack. So I joined the team early in development during my senior year in high school, and at the time I was just looking for experience in hacking NES music. Once I was brought onto the team, my first attempt at a song was X Gon Give It To Ya. My initial approach to hacking the music was by directly editing ROM file using FCEUX. and while I was able to find the songs in the ROM using the program's built-in features, it would have been impossible to make sense of the data had it not been for forum user HertzDevil on romhacking.net and their extensive breakdown of Ninja Gaida's sound engine. However, since I didn't know how to edit pointers for the songs, and because the ROM contains code for the entire game, I had to basically overwrite one of the songs in the ROM and be careful that I only used the space that the song used originally, since I could accidentally overwrite code that was used for other parts of the game. Since I was still very inexperienced, the final product came out sounding similar to the bass song that it was overwritten, Unbreakable Determination. I learned a lot from composing this song though, and the track I worked on next, Careless Whisper, felt entirely independent from the bass song once I was finished. This is definitely the song that I was most proud of. I took a step back from the project after this for a little over a year. While I was gone though, the team brought on new composers and created an algorithm to convert songs in FamiTracker, a popular NES sound font composer, into data that the game could understand. This amazing breakthrough allowed the composers to create music with many more details at a much faster rate. When I returned to the team, I made some improvements to early song ideas that the composers were throwing around. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks Danger X for having me on the team. It was really fun. Peace.
We really try to make the game OST as memorable as possible. Luckily, I had 3 other music hackers helping me. You know, they composed Wham's Careless Whisper, DMX Gonna Give It To You, Wiz Khalifa's Black and Yellow. But the rest of the original OST I composed myself. I really wanted to go for a more energetic direction, so I was inspired by a lot of heavy metal, a lot of black metal, and I composed everything through Hex. You know, I would just play it on a keyboard, tab it down, you know, keep notes, keep track, and then just input it into a Hex editor. And it was just a lot of trial and error. You know, it was my first time coding music for the NES, so I had to make do with what I had. With the plot in place and all the contributions coming together, becoming cohesive, you know, we're just really lucky that our team had really talented artists. You know, we had Neo, who created a lot of the sprites, the comic book artwork for the manual, the box cover. But then I also brought in one of my friends, Christoph Spadel, known as the Lord of the Logos. He designed some exclusive Deadpool logo art. He also designed our Tech-Moon logo. And because I'm also a graphic designer myself, a sketch artist, an illustrator, I also drew up some concept artwork just to visualize what I wanted to add in the game. So with all the concept artwork in place, all my hand-drawn illustrations and whatnot, I already had a clear-cut vision of what I wanted the game to look like, the end goal. I designed some sprites, some backgrounds, some characters. Me and Neo pretty much knocked it out together, and we used different utilities, anything from YYCHR to TileLayer Pro, and custom utilities that our lead programmer Dark Moon made for us, which included you know, cutscene editors, background editors, hit detection editors, sprite editors, sprite placement. We wanted to make the game look like a piece of art.
The problem about working or trying to work with a big group of people is not everyone will be Darkmoon. Not everyone will contribute, and some of them will not even help. They will hurt the team and the project. So keep your team small and only available to people you trust. No more.
Everything was going so well as more guys joined us. All was good until that one event. One guy stole one track from our hack, some ideas and wall-flying codes and added them to his own. We couldn't stand the fact that he was going beside our back and took those things without asking, so we had to kick him out of the group. Some of you might think we overreacted, and I thought the same, so I asked him why he did that. He laughed and insulted me and the game, then said this is hacking. He doesn't need to ask for permission before taking something. But this didn't end it here. After a few months, one of our fans showed us a link from his webpage with our Deadpool hack available for money. You can imagine how shocked we were when we found out about this. Someone in the team betrayed us and gave the room to that lowlife.
How ironic that we decalled our game a polished turd, will later stole it and sell it as his own. Anyway, back to Danger.
Well, it didn't pass too long before we found the other traitor and removed him. It was so hard for us to see the game that we put so much work into getting stolen and sold by that scumbag.
You wanna know who they were? You sure? Just search the video made by John Riggs about another Ninja Gaiden hack. He mentions two guys there. Well, they were the ones who stole the ROM and started selling it as his own work, and I am able to confirm that at any time. Anyways, because these two smart guys did that, we had to release a beta of the game. And don't think that because it is a beta the game was broken or unplayable. It was already fully playable, but we had more things in mind to add. We released the beta called Deadpool Pack and Scam Date Right Back at You Buddy Edition, because we didn't want to see people paying for a game that we were going to release totally free for different platforms, and more importantly, it wasn't finished yet. We had more ideas and work to do. People was able to play an early version of the game, and we received some good feedback. Mostly that our game was too hard, even unfair in some places. Keep in mind, we were so used to the game and beta testing that we didn't find any problems with it. It was easy for us. This is when some people helped to balance the game, make it hard but fair. One of them was my brother Toad, and other folks like Norman, Frank, or Twin Omega really helped testing the game without our knowledge or skill on the game, so they had a different point of view for it.
Then we wanted to break the NES limits and change the game as much as possible. At the time, Darkmoon made the level enemy cutscene editor. These tools weren't too user-friendly. Why they let you do some stuff you can't do in Ninja. Speaking of that old program, there is no way to use Deadpool with it because of the different header. It means the levels and enemies addresses are a different point. For example, let's say in the original Ninja Gaiden, you have the level hex addresses for stage 1 at address 4000, and in Deadpool they are at address 8000. If you use Ninjax on Deadpool, it will change the incorrect values and will result in corrupting the ROM. We were closing in finishing our hack, so I was thinking, what is missing? Is there anything left for us to change? And yeah, the sounds were the only thing left that reminded us of Ninja Gaiden, so they had to go. Once again, we found help on hacking.net from PC and Chill. This guy not only made new sounds for us, but he made new music as well. Right now we had a different music tracks for each level. Let me pause this for a moment. Every time I found a guy that helped us, I had to link it with the team, but not all of them wanted to join Facebook. Sometimes I had to visit different sites, write a message to somebody, then get back to the group, and speak with the team again and again. Also, the time zone never helped. I'm from Romania and I had to contact guys from different countries all the time. Maybe it was a pain, but the result was so rewarding, seeing the game grow so much. I was like the guy that united the others in doing something bigger than us.
Yeah, like I talked to the others some times ago. Danger is our Nick Fury of hacking. If it wasn't for him, this idea will be just that. An idea and nothing more.
Hello everyone, my name is Debian and I am reading the part of the script of FCN Shield. I first got on board on the project by accepting a help wanted advertising on romhacking.net. The team was looking for someone to do sound effects from the game, and the goal was more or less to make the game sound less like Ninja Gaiden and make it have a little bit of its unique personality. The first sound effects I worked on had to be the pause and warp sound effect. I did most of my work by changing the pause and sound effects. Most of the work was done through Danger X on Discord and was then passed off to the rest of the team on Facebook for approval. Later, Danger X came to me asking if I could make some music. At this point, other music was already in the game. The first track I made was Cruising for the secret stage and then the black and yellow cover. The version of black and yellow in-game is actually quite different from how I made it in Family Tracker. I believe that was Dark Moon's doing. I chose a copyright song because I noticed the game already had copyright music and I found a cover online to use. Later I watched the Deadpool movie for the first time and noticed that Careless Whisper was in the movie. I actually never insert music into the game. I had other people insert my music instead. I created a utility that converts Family Tracker text files to music data. Dark Moon then modified the utility to fix a few bugs. At one point, I did try to modify music from the ROM, but I just kept on corrupting other songs. And once Dark Moon vanished, Dr. Floppy was the one to take his place and he stepped in and insert and correct some of my tracks. In the end, I thank everyone on the team because they provided me with a lot of feedback about the music and sound effects. And I think my work got better as a result. Thanks to Woodman with his music knowledge, he modified some of the Family Tracker files to elevate my tracks. Dr. Floppy helped with fixing all the stuff with the sounds, the issues with my tracks. Sorry, Neo and Danger X provided a lot of feedback as well, and I highly thank them. And of course, I thank everyone that created music for the game. I certainly couldn't have done all by myself.
This is my copy of the game. Cool, huh? Alright, one more thing left. There were other guys that helped us with this project, and now it's time to mention them as a little thing.
The idea of ports was just something that came from the nostalgic era of 90s gaming. You know, I think of the Mortal Kombat series, Doom, Street Fighter 2. When those games came out, you know, they were on every single console of the era. You know, Super Nintendo, Genesis, Game Boy, Sega Saturn, PS1. So I just told the team, hey, you know, let's give Deadpool the same treatment. Hopefully we'll reach a wider audience this way. So in order for me to create these, you know, I would run them through a utility, hours of testing, and, you know, maybe add a splash screen with a hex editor, insert a couple of JPEGs, make new menus here and there, then after each build was done, I would hand them out to the team and be like, hey, try them out on an emulator of your choice, on any hardware of your choice, any setup of your choice, and hopefully this reached more fans. The end goal was just, hey, if you want to play the game, this isn't about money, this isn't about fame or anything like that. It's just a passion project. We wanted to reach as many people as we could, and we're just happy that people are playing the game on any hardware setup of their choice, any emulator setup of their choice. The team and I are very proud, extremely proud of this title. There was a lot of talented artists, hackers, programmers, musicians that helped us out. And in the end, we just hope that you all had fun. You all had fun playing the game. You all enjoyed yourselves, had a good laugh and whatnot. And that's our main goal.
About the game recognition. After we finished the game, the first thing that was on our head was, what's next? I mean, sure, we finished the game already, but there were still some ideas that we weren't able to add, like a bonus stage, don't confuse it with the hidden stage, wink wink, moving platforms, or more language that were not possible to add due to limitations in the system. So probably we will think of something, but in the meantime, we will enjoy seeing people playing the game, the speedruns or the reviews. Speaking of reviews, when we were working on the game, some of us thought, can you imagine if someday this game gets features on big YouTube channels? That will be awesome. So far, even if we didn't make any penny of it, we are glad of the recognition the game gets. People say great things about it. Mike Matei did 2 videos playing the game, one as a gameplay and another one features on Mike and James Mondays. That blew our minds. Also, some cool reviews and even game achievements made for the game. I can think of the top of my mind of the Game Beaters, 8-Bit Hero, and many others. And even now, a German magazine featured the game. That's just crazy. I believe this is the first ROM hack that threats his release as back in the 90s. Multi-console release, some promotional stuff, etc.
Hi, I'm Kyo, and I tested Deadpool on real hardware. Well, I'm sure most of you will be emulating this on like a RetroPie or your computer or Wii or whatever it is people use to emulate these days. I felt it was important to ensure it would be playable on real hardware, the hardware it was designed for in the first place. While I had no doubts that it wouldn't work, I actually had doubts that the EverDrive would be willing to run it. To my surprise, it actually did. See, the EverDrive at the time I was testing Deadpool was incompatible with NES ROMs that utilized EXRAM. I believe it's a offshoot of MMC5 or is a feature of MMC5. I'm not really sure. I've never done it. But given how beautiful Deadpool looks, it wouldn't have surprised me at all to know that it did use EXRAM. And surprisingly, it doesn't use EXRAM, which meant that Deadpool was playable on an EverDrive. And that was a great thing because it enabled me to actually test Deadpool I tested it on a regular old top loader, the toaster, a Famicom, an AV Famicom, the AVS, the NES Classic Edition, and by tested I mean I played at least half the game. And all of these consoles ran the game without a hitch. I was pretty certain that the main 4 versions of the NES, you know, the NES top loader, the Famicom, AV Famicom, the ones that are officially made in the era that NES was popular, I was certain that those would run it without a problem after, you know, playing through it on the toaster, but I still wanted to make sure, because who knows. One of the things that didn't hit me initially was that I have to use a converter to get my EverDrive to run on a Famicom and AV Famicom, and I had modded that converter a while ago to play MMC5 games, and as it turns out, Deadpool requires that modification as well. To determine this, I actually ended up buying a second converter just so that I could test it to make sure, 1, it does not work, and 2, so that I could make a video about how to convert it so that you too can play Deadpool or whatever MMC5 game you want on your Famicom. With the AVS and Classic Edition NES being FPGA and emulation respectively, it was more up in the air as to whether or not they would actually work. AVS does sometimes have issues running games, and the Classic Edition just has horrible emulation, so, you know. That being the case, Deadpool runs on the AVS just as well as it does on official hardware, so that's really nice. The Classic Edition runs Deadpool about as well as it can. I mean, it has your usual input lag and sound problems that are inherent to the NES Classic Edition, but if you're already used to using this console, it shouldn't bother you that much. I don't recommend using the Classic Edition anyway, but it's good to know that it works. I never got a chance to test it on an Analog NT or Retron 5 or anything else like that. If you're using an EverDrive, it's safe to say it's not going to work on most clone consoles that aren't the AVS or Analog NT. So Yobo, Retron 5, Generation X, whatever you got, you're just going to have to buy the cartridge. Make sure if you do buy a cartridge that it's not a bootleg. I can't guarantee those will work in anything, let alone clone consoles. Not to mention, TechMoon worked their asses off to make this hack, and they deserve some recognition for it. You'd be screwing them over if you bought a bootleg, and make sure that if you're looking for a reproduction cart, that it's the genuine article. It was an absolute honor to be able to assist TechMoon with Deadpool in even the smallest capacity. I've been a member of the ROM hacking community for over a decade, and Deadpool is without question the greatest ROM hack I've ever seen. It blew me away. It's like a brand new game, and it makes Ninja Gaiden fun. That's the thing, I've never enjoyed Ninja Gaiden up until I played Deadpool, and now I can actually say I like Ninja Gaiden to some capacity. I mean, it really is amazing. Thank you guys for making this thing, and thank you for letting me help you test it.
This was made by fans for fans.